Fox's Shepard Smith has come out in an interview with the Huffington Post published on Monday, denying previous rumors that former Fox boss Roger Ailes made homophobic comments in front of him and prevented him from coming out. So this is very important that he wants to say that he is now out and he's proud, and the reason why he wasn't out before had nothing to do with Roger Ailes. He says, quote, "I wasn't new in the business when I came here. I'd been doing reporting for 12 years, but I wasn't old in it either. And he gave me every opportunity in the world. He never asked anything of me, but that we get it right, try to get it right every day. It was a very warm and loving and comfortable place." So this has been speculated on for a while. As a member of the LGBT community, we've sort of thought he was family, Shepard Smith, for a while. He was featured in Out Magazine's Power list, Power 50 list, but he never confirmed it until now. And it's important to note in this article from the Huffington Post that he is apparently, quote, visibly shaken and emotional when speaking about Ailes, who resigned from the network after multiple current and former employees accused him of sexual harassment. Smith said that the revelations about Ailes have been hard to take in. He even describes him as a father figure. And it is sort of, I am not a big fan of Shepard Smith, but this made me feel very sort of empathetic towards him, because it is, I don't know, it's got to be sort of a tough situation to have someone that you look up to and then have all these allegations come out. That's very conflicting. And I wish that he'd spoken a little bit more about, sort of disavowing himself from Roger Ailes, but obviously he's still sort of in a reconciliation type of a place. What did you guys think about this come out?
I mean, the come out thing, I think, is always interesting. I think to do it under this shield is really fascinating. But I also think that, Shepard Smith is saying that he just wanted to get the story right. He treated me with respect all the time, which is great. And most presidents of news organizations would have done that and not sexually abused a lot of people in the office as well. So I think that defending Roger Ailes, his personal relationship with him is fine, but he has to also acknowledge the fact that this happened.
Yeah.
Right, not a homophobe, it seems. I'm getting choked up over this too. Roger Ailes, apparently not a homophobe.
Right.
If I'm to take Shepard Smith's word, still a creeper. Still a total creepo. And I agree that I needed a little, I would have liked to have heard something more from Shepard Smith kind of getting in there, because the truth is, I've seen from Shepard Smith drawing the line on "this is ridiculous" on Fox News.
Right.
I've seen him say, "This is America, we don't effing torture."
Yeah.
But cussing on air. I've seen him get in there and say, now we're all being ridiculous here.
Right.
And I would like for him to say, it comes as no shock that he wasn't, sexually harassed by Roger Ailes, because that's not Roger Ailes' type.
Yeah.
I would like to have heard from Shep Smith, a little more. Because it is easy to say, he just wants to keep his job.
Yeah, well, I feel sort of conflicted about this story, because I think I celebrate him coming out. I think it's great on a conservative network like Fox News that they now have such a major figure on their network is a proud gay man. I think that's awesome. That can only do great things towards tolerance and acceptance in maybe the hearts of people who had never known a gay person before. But where I'm disappointed is that he didn't really seem to call out Roger Ailes' actions enough. But again, like I said in my introduction, he might still be coming to terms with exactly who this, father figure, this mentor in his life, what he did and who he really was behind the scenes. And I don't fault him for that now, but I look forward in the future to maybe him being a little bit more vocal about the mistreatment that Roger Ailes perpetuated.
Yeah, that makes sense. Shepard Smith, it's had to have been hard to be Shepard Smith at Fox for all these years.
Yes.
So, and not only that, he went to the University of Mississippi. So it's like he's had a tough row to hoe along for a while. But
yeah, but just an equal number of willing people at the University of Mississippi. They're just not very vocal about it.
They're not very vocal, that's true. But so, being stuck at Fox in that situation, this has to, in its own way, be quite, I would imagine, quite liberating. But just, it's been a real tough 12 years.
So, follow-up question, what do you think the reaction will be of Fox News viewers now that Shepard Smith is an openly gay man? Do you think that he'll be celebrated, or do you think they're going to be like, you can be gay, but not that gay?
Well, I just think whenever he says something they disagree with, he will be the gay guy who said it. Not, I don't think they're going to just come out and start writing, although maybe some will, but I think en masse, as soon as he takes a position that is anti-Fox, which of all the people there, he's the one most prone to do it, I think that he will then, endure the wrath of the Fox viewers.
Disagree.
You disagree?
Disagree. It's going to change everyone. Everyone's going to see, but Shep Smith, they're going to all have a touching moment where they say, Shep Smith is gay. Maybe I need to be more sensitive. And I'm changing my opinions about every gay person and every gay issue till the end of time.
Probably that's going to happen.
Probably going to happen.
I'm wrong.
And as
So
soon as they do that, a rainbow is going to shoot out of their front lawn. And there'll be a pot of gold, and everyone's going to have a nice party and just hug each other and understand.
Yeah.
No, I think the other end of it is, I wouldn't underestimate, there's people who are like, I'm not a homophobe, I like Shepard Smith.
Well,
I've been watching him for years. It's
Yeah.
a great cover to use in situations where you need that person to be your cover. Oh, Paula Deen, that's my friend for years. We've known each other for a long time.
Well, you always get that. Donald Trump is the king of doing that. On the trail with his Muslim. I have a lot of Muslim friends.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Muslim friends. Some of them disagree with me, but most of them agree with me on this Muslim ban. Who are they?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
see. And then when he says, Roger Ailes told him that we need to get it right, he's not talking about correct.
Right.
He's just like, you might be yelling at him, Shep, we need to get it right. Right now, it's two down the middle. We need to get it right. So I would like Shepard Smith if he's going to come out and say other things like, I disavow the behavior of Roger Ailes toward women. I would like him to also clarify the definition of right when he says that.
It'll be interesting to see how this dynamic plays out before us over the coming few weeks.
Can you listen to the same old corporate media?
Can't do it.
Now, I hear you, brother. Become part of the independent media. Join us. TYTnetwork.com/join.